this week's parasha, when Hashem tells Avram that he has great reward in store for him, Avram responds by saying to Hashem, "What can you give me, being that I go childless? And as it stands now, the steward of my house, Eliezer of Damascus, stands to inherit me." Hashem then goes on to promise Avram that he would have a son who would inherit him. Our sages teach us that in describing his loyal servant as Eliezer from Damascus, Avram was not just trying to point out where Eliezer had come from, but he was trying to highlight the outstanding quality of this servant. This is because the word for Damascus in Hebrew is Damesek, which is an abbreviated form of the two words Doile Umashke, which means one who draws and gives to drink. Eliezer is given this title because he would draw and learn from the Torah of his master Avram, and then go and water, so to say, or teach others what he had learned from his master. But if Eliezer was such a fine servant, why then did Avram speak of him in such a disparaging way, saying that I'm going to go childless with no one but this servant to inherit me? Eliezer, as fine a person that he was never going to inherit Avram, because Avram realized that in order for there to be continuity to his mission of spreading the name of God in the world, the one who would fill his shoes couldn't just be another Avram. He couldn't be someone like Eliezer, who just took Avram's Torah and fed it to the next generation without his own unique way. He would have to be someone like Yitzchak, who would have his own Torah teachings and would forge his unique style and way, suitable to the people of his generation in order to carry out his sacred mission. Eliezer didn't make the cut. Only Yitzchak would be able to do this. As parents, we often fall into the trap of trying to raise our kids to be exactly like us. We may want to raise them the same way that we were raised. We may want them to have the same experiences that we experienced, and we may want them to stay clear of some of the things that we knew were no good for us. It's always important to bear in mind that while our children are an extension of ourselves, they are still independent beings, and the world that they are growing up in today is very different to the world that we grew up in. The mission, meaning, and purpose with which we want them to live their lives doesn't change, but we need to allow them to achieve that goal in their own unique way. If it was good enough for our great-grandfather Avram, it should be good enough for us. Good Shabbos.